Hello everybody, my name's Alex and welcome back to my channel. So today we're doing something really exciting. I've come up with my very own tag to celebrate the 20-year anniversary of the very first Harry Potter book coming out. So this is a tag that I came up with by myself. I don't think there's anything like this for works in progress anyway. So anyway, this is just a bit of fun for everybody, no matter what genre you're working in. I mean, I work in historical fiction for adults, so it couldn't really be that much further from Harry Potter, but no matter what you're working in, it's just a bit of fun and a way to kind of look at your own works in progress through a Harry Potter lens. So yeah, nothing too serious, but I hope you guys like it, and yeah, here we go. So, question number 1. Your main character is sorted into a Hogwarts house. Which is it and why? My main character, who is a young lady named Evelyn, I kind of see her as a Ravenclaw. She's very brainy, you know, she likes facts and figures and numbers and logic, so I felt like Ravenclaw would really suit her. But at the same time, she's got that kind of bravery and loyalty that I think you would probably get from a Gryffindor more so, but I'm going to stick with Ravenclaw. I think she probably is a Ravenclaw. Question number 2. Hermione finds a work in progress in the Hogwarts library. What does she think? So as a Muggle-born witch, I think she probably wouldn't be that weirded out or surprised by my book. She'd be well familiar with the whole concept of World War II. She's a well-educated gal. Both Hermione and my main character are both brainy girls who don't really fit in their respective stories. So I think she could probably relate to her on some levels, but I think she'd get frustrated maybe, or would struggle to connect with her on some of the emotional things that she goes through, because I think, yeah, my main character doesn't necessarily she's not always very sensible, and I think Hermione might find that a bit annoying, but who knows? Who knows? Question number 3. What magical creature would your main character love the most, and what would they be most afraid of? In terms of what my main character would love the most, probably a unicorn. You know, unicorns aren't miles and miles away from a horse, so as somebody that's come from a Muggle background, I imagine a unicorn being something that you see in myths and legends all the time. I think the idea of actually seeing one of those in the flesh would be pretty special. And my main character Evelyn does have a real connection with horses from her childhood, so yeah, a unicorn would probably be number 1. In terms of what she'd be most afraid of, she's quite scared of snakes. Her father used to spend a lot of time in India and came back with snake skins and stories about all these snakes that he came across, and I think it's kind of been built up in her mind as something really terrifying. So the idea of her coming across something like a basilisk would probably give her nightmares forever. So I think basilisk would be her most terrifying magical creature, and a unicorn would be her number 1 favourite. Question number 4. Your main character has a vision of their future in the middle of a divination class. What do they see? So my main character was born in 1920, so she would probably end up seeing the upcoming Second World War and the effect that it's going to have on her life. I think she'd see things that would both terrify her, give her, a sense of real uncertainty, but also I think she'd recognise that it's going to provoke change that she is desperately craving, because she feels like she lives in a very narrow world. So yeah, she'd probably see the war. To be honest, in my book she's kind of already quite aware that war is likely, but I think obviously she has no idea what that's actually going to mean. So yeah, to actually see what that's going to look like would probably scare her a lot more. I think she's looking at it at the moment when I'm writing her, she's being very sensible and quite level-headed about the whole thing, and I don't think she's really recognised the emotional impact that war is going to have on her. So she might start to get an idea of that, which could be quite interesting, actually. Question number 5. If your main character could only use one spell or magical device, which would it be? I think for Evelyn, she could really use a time turner. There are a number of things that happen to her, which I'm sure she would do anything to be able to go back in time and change. She makes some silly decisions and she quickly regrets them, or she does things that have terrible implications for her future life, and I think she would love to be able to go back and change that, but alas, I am not writing fantasy and she is just going to have to live through it like the rest of us. So yeah, time turner. Question number 6. Your main character gets lost in the Forbidden Forest with Draco Malfoy. What happens? So Evelyn would probably try and take charge and at least try and find a logical way out. But Draco Malfoy being Draco Malfoy, she'd probably get very annoyed with him very quickly. She'd be familiar with his kind of narrow-mindedness and intolerance from her own background. But what's interesting is obviously she'd be Muggle-born, so mudblood, and he'd probably end up saying something to that effect, which would just really annoy her. And because she's come from a very privileged background where she's only kind of seen prejudice happening to other people, I think it would really shock her, and I don't think she'd even really necessarily know how to respond to that. So yeah, that would be actually really interesting to see how she'd react. I think she'd be shocked, and she'd probably try and remain composed for a bit, but you know, that wouldn't last very long, and she'd probably end up either hitting him or at least ditching him and letting him find his own way out. Although, you know, if she abandoned him in the forest, she'd probably end up feeling guilty, even if he had been a complete arsehole to her. So, who knows? Question number 7. Your main character wants to skip a class at Hogwarts. Which one is it? Probably Herbology. So, Evelyn's mother is very green-fingered and loves to make things grow and spends a lot of time out in the garden, and Evelyn just doesn't. Like, anytime that she ever tries to grow anything, it just dies. So, yeah, I can imagine Herbology probably wouldn't be her thing. Yeah, it probably wouldn't be my thing either. I kill all of my plants as a standing joke. Sorry, guys. Question number 8, obviously, just after the last question, what would your main character's favourite class be? In this one, I think it'd be potions. So Evelyn is a really good cook. She's very good at following instructions, being logical and methodical, making things work. So I think potions, I can imagine that working really well for her. Creating something, she likes making things. And yeah, she's very good at following things to the letter. So yeah, she'd probably have no problem making liquid luck. That would be very useful for her actually in my novel. She had a while of that occasionally. Question number 9. Dementors have attacked. What creature would your main character's Patronus be? I had to think about this one for a little while, even though it's my tag, but I still didn't really have an answer to this. Now, my main character's name is Evelyn, and Evelyn actually means little bird, which I actually only realised as I was writing it, but Evelyn's name kind of signifies how she feels for the majority of the book. She feels like she's caged, she feels like she's trapped in a narrow world that offers her little freedom. So I think it would make sense really for her Patronus to be something the exact opposite, perhaps like a golden eagle, a huge bird with great big wings and the ability to just fly away and be strong and independent, and fearsome too. So yeah, I think a golden eagle would be very apt as a Patronus for her. Question number 10, the final question for this tag. What would your main character see if he or she were to look into the mirror of Erised? I've mentioned it already. She is desperate for freedom. She's desperate to achieve something and to escape the confines of her narrow world. So I think for her, it would be to see herself achieving something that she's managed to do completely on her own without having to use family connections or her title. You know, something that she's been able to do all by herself. That's big and exciting. She's always looked up to people like Amelia Earhart, and I think if she could do something that was perhaps traditionally viewed in the male sphere and that she's managed to do and make a success of, that would be great for her. So, I mean, in the Muggle world, it would probably be something like getting a first-class degree at university in something like mathematics, or to become a successful engineer. But in Harry Potter world, I think probably to become an aura or to make a success of herself in the Ministry for Magic. I don't know enough about what 1920s, 1930s Harry Potter magical world was like, but I imagine it was probably just as afflicted by inequality and sexism back then. So yeah, I imagine for a woman to achieve one of those roles in the Ministry for Magic or as an aura would be pretty impressive, and she'd love to see that happen. So that brings me to the end of this tag. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just a bit of Harry Potter fun to add a little bit of magic into your week. I'm tagging a few people specifically, but by all means consider yourself tagged if you guys want to do it too. I will be leaving the questions into the information box below, so just have a little look and nick those if you want. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys doing this tag, and yay, magic and Harry Potter! So anyway, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video, and I will see you guys for more fun next week. Take care, bye!